you know that some wood species can actually make you sick? A few years back, I was cutting these very sample boards for this sample wall, and like a dummy, I wasn't wearing a mask. I didn't think I needed it. And by the end of the week, I was feeling pretty darn miserable. I had a fever, chills, cough, sore throat, the whole thing. I thought I had a cold, but I hadn't been around anyone sick. I knew it was the walnut and the cedar sawdust, and that's what made me start digging into this topic. Because I thought if those two common woods could do that to me, are there other ones that could be more serious to your health? You'd be amazed at what I found, and some of it actually kind of scares me a little bit. Let me show you. Dang it. The first few are probably the most dangerous. Most woodworkers will never encounter them, but you need to know they exist, because they look like regular lumber anyone could use. The first one's called Manchineel. Some people call it the tree of death. Found in the Caribbean, Florida, Mexico, and Central America. Even water that runs off the leaves will burn you if you're standing underneath the tree when it rains. Burning it produces smoke that causes temporary blindness. This one is pretty gnarly. Oleander. You've probably seen this growing as an ornamental shrub. It's native to North Africa all the way over to Asia. It contains cardiotoxins, which are chemicals that damage the heart tissue. Burning even a few small twigs releases smoke that is genuinely dangerous to be around. There are documented cases of people being seriously harmed from cooking food over an oleander fire. Yew wood, beautiful, dense, fine-grained. Wood turners love it. It grows all over Africa and Europe, but concerningly, it also grows right here in North America. It contains taxine alkaloids that target the skin, the eyes, and directly affect the heart system. Severe nausea and breathing distress are well-documented reactions to unprotected exposure of this. True rosewoods. This is where things get personal for a lot of woodworkers because rosewoods are everywhere in fine furniture and musical instruments. Brazilian rosewood and East Indian rosewood grow exactly where their name suggests. Even African rosewood or babinga, even though it's an imitation rosewood, it still can cause some serious health problems. Funny little story here with babinga. We have a customer named Kurt, we call him the clown. Some of his customers, sawdust would get on their skin and irritate their skin. Customer would come in and buy more of the wood, and they'd come in with huge rashes all over their arms and their neck, all because of the sawdust from babinga and wenge. Now, he might be having a unique allergic reaction, but there's a way we can avoid something like that, and I'm gonna show you a product later on in the video, so stick around for that. The true rosewoods are packed with reactive quinones. These are chemicals that act as intense sensitizers. They trigger immediate poison ivy style blistering rashes and violent wheezing. And here's the scary part. You might handle rosewood for years and feel completely fine, but I'll explain exactly why that's dangerous here in a few minutes. Now step down to the high danger category. These ones are in shops every single day. And I bet some of them are sitting in your shop right now. Western Red Cedar. This is the one that I think actually did me the most damage the one day I was cutting samples. These only grow on the West Coast, and it's not a true cedar. They're part of a family of junipers that are loaded with something called plicatic acid. It attacks your lungs, your skin, and your eyes. It's one of the most documented causes of occupational asthma in woodworkers. The safety regulations around cedar are so strict that the allowable dust limit is set at exactly half of what it is for other woods. Half. And that's not a subtle suggestion, that's a serious warning. As a matter of fact, you can assume all cedars, or junipers really, that grow in North America can be dangerous to your health. Sassafras. A lot of people have this growing in their backyard and have no idea. It is native to the eastern half of the United States, and it contains saffrol. It's a volatile oil that's problematic. The FDA banned it as a food additive. I know. The FDA can't be trusted. Whatever, tell me in the comments. Cutting sassafras causes acute breathing problems and nausea. It doesn't look like a dangerous tree. It looks like a backyard tree. Now we're on to beech, oak, and chestnut, three of the most common shop woods in the world. The long-term exposure on this is no bueno, senor. All three are loaded with natural tannins, and breathing fine dust from them over years of work is a documented primary cause of nasal and sinus cancer. Laburnum, also called golden chain, is native to Central and Southern Europe, so we should be safe here in North America. Should be. A popular ornamental tree with gorgeous wood. It contains cystine alkaloids that cause direct poisoning to the central nervous system and the stomach. Willow contains a compound called salicin. It's native to the northern hemisphere, and breathing fine willow sawdust is directly linked to nasal cavity cancers. There's also something unique about willow. Salicin is the natural compound in aspirin. So if you're allergic to aspirin, you're also allergic to willow dust. Ebony and purple heart, these dense woods produce a heavy fine dust that irritates eye, lung tissue, and are documented sensitizers. And then regular American and African mahogany sits at the low end. Mild rashes, some coughing, temporary symptoms that clear up when you leave the shop. Now, here's the question I had when I first saw this list. Why? What is actually happening chemically inside these trees that makes some of them so much more dangerous than others? That answer changes how you look at every piece of lumber you bring into your shop. Here's something most people don't think about. Trees are like chemical factories, and every tree you cut is loaded with natural defense chemicals. They are its defense against insects, rot, fungi, and bacteria. Here's the key to understand that entire list that we just went through. Those chemicals, they live in the heartwood. That's the dark, dead wood in the center of the log. That is where those chemicals are concentrated. Now here's what I think is the most important part of the video. You know the woods that last forever outdoors? Teak, ipe, black locust, white oak. They sit in the dirt for decades because their wood is packed with harsh antifungal, antibacterial properties. Those are the same exact chemicals that are going in your lungs when you cut them. Now here's the part that I think catches woodworkers off guard the most. Some woods don't just irritate you, they're sensitizers. Now there's a big difference here. An irritant makes you cough while you're in the shop. You walk out, it clears up, you're done. Now a sensitizer, that permanently rewires your entire system. And it does it in 3 stages designed to fool you. Stage 1 is false security. You start working with walnut or cocobolo or Western Red Cedar and you feel completely fine. That window of security can last for weeks, years, even decades. You start to think you're immune, but stage 2 is quietly happening the entire time. Every single exposure, your immune system is quietly logging those chemicals and building a response. There's no warning sign, you can't feel it. Then stage 3 hits, and your immune system declares a permanent emergency. And from that day forward, any contact with even a microscopic speck of that wood's dust particles triggers an immediate violent reaction. Asthma attacks, full body blisters, breathing that locks up. You most likely can never work with that species again, and it gets worse. Trees that are closely related to each other, they share the same defenses. So for example, if you get allergic to cocobolo, you are also now permanently sensitized to all of its close botanical relatives. We're talking kingwood, tulipwood, African blackwood, Honduran rosewood, the entire family. But it doesn't have to build up a reaction like this. The woods I was cutting for the sample got me sick like right away. Now I got this information from various hazard lists across the internet, and I really want you to pay attention again here. There are hazards that don't usually make those lists, and one of them involves the same chemicals they use to embalm dead bodies. Let me explain. Most woodworkers know that MDF and plywood are dusty, but here's the part they miss. When you cut MDF, you're not just breathing wood particles. The binder holding it together is formaldehyde resin. Cutting it or sanding it releases vaporized formaldehyde gas. At the same time, it creates the dust. In case you didn't know, that same formaldehyde is used in funeral homes during a process called embalming. It helps to preserve the body. But we don't usually talk about how formaldehyde is a proven carcinogen. And in a hot, humid shop, that exposure gets significantly worse. So make sure you're taking precautions here, folks. Spalted maple. Those black lines in spalted maple are actually active fungal decay. There's real spores in there, folks. So when you machine spalted maple, you're flinging live mold spores up into the air. Millions of them. This is not theoretical. It can cause severe lung distress. Be careful, brother. Treated lumber. Some utility poles and other yard wood are treated with green treat. It's PCP or pentachlorophenol. Breathing that dust can give you aplastic anemia, which is when your bone marrow stops making blood cells properly. Old CCA treated lumber, that green treat from years ago, contains arsenic. So don't mess with that. Dust from that material is something that you don't want floating around your shop. But they don't use that old CCA concoction anymore. Nowadays they have a copper coat treatment that's supposed to be safe for humans. I always say something that kills bacteria and fungus can't be safe for humans and pets. And if you disagree, then go ahead, take a drink. Just kidding. Don't actually drink this stuff though. I was just kidding. Don't do that, please. And here's one for the horse people. Never use black walnut shavings as horse bedding, ever. Even a brief contact between walnut shavings and horse hooves called a condition called laminitis within the first 24 hours. The internal hoof structure inflames catastrophically. It can permanently cripple or even kill the horse. This is a well-documented, real veterinary emergency. You need to protect yourselves and your pets from these dangers. And there's a few different ways I think you might find this pretty interesting. All right, let's quickly chat about how to actually protect yourself. And if you know something I failed to mention them in the comments below. You may be saving someone a world of hurt here. We'll start with using a dust collection system at the source. The filter needs to be a true HEPA filter rated to 1 or 2 microns. Anything looser than that is probably going to be recirculating those dangerous dust particles right back into your breathing area. And paper dust masks are usually a fail. They leak around the sides. They don't filter particles under 5 microns, which is exactly the size that does the real damage. Now, a reusable half-face respirator with replaceable cartridges gets you 99.9% filtration, and it also blocks chemical vapors. That's the minimum for any moderate or high danger species we talked about on the list today. Now, for the serious stuff, you know, like the rosewoods or anything that's on the top tier of that list, you're gonna want something else. Look into a PAPR system, a powered air purifying respirator. It's basically a battery powered helmet that will pump fresh air all the way across your face. This air is purified by a HEPA filter, of course. Your eyes, your nose, your mouth, neck, everything is completely isolated from the dust. It's the top standard and it's worth every single penny. Not sponsored, by the way. Speaking of which, I'm gonna put the highly rated ones up here. So if you're watching on your TV, you can whip out your phone and scan the QR code for that mask right now. And if you're actually on your phone, the link should be right about here, or something like that. And keep in mind, we get a commission off of everything you buy using one of our links. But here's the important part. This happens at no extra cost to you, which means you don't pay extra to help us out. So thank you so much in advance. Much appreciated, brother and sister. Also, if you want to get a shirt just like this, we have our merch linked below in the description, so check that out too. There's also a chemical barrier cream that you can apply to your hands, arms, and neck. Products like PR88 and 3M Cavalon are built specifically to block wood sensitizers from absorbing through the skin. Links for those are in the description below too, and right here, my friend. Don't sweep your floor with a regular broom. The bristles lift the finest particles back into the air. If you got one, use a HEPA filtered vacuum instead, or wet sweeping methods as they call it, which I just found out about today. I tell you what, I could get lost in those Mexican cleaning videos on TikTok, let me tell you. And before you walk into your house, change your clothes, take a shower, put them in the laundry right away. Fine wood dust clings to fabric and hair, and you'll track it into your house where your family and pets live, and they'll breathe it too. But here's the thing. I started this video telling you about a week where I felt like I had a fever and a full-blown sinus cold after cutting walnut and cedar without protection. At the time, I thought it was just a coincidence. Now I know what it was. The simple version of everything we covered: the more rot resistant a wood, the more dangerous its dust. And I'm not telling you to be afraid of your shop. I'm telling you to know what's in it. Get the right respirator. Run dust collection at the source. Try the barrier cream and change your clothes before you go inside. The wood will outlast you if you let it. Now here's the problem. Everything we just went through is useless if you can't identify what wood you're actually cutting before the blade hits it. Most woodworkers can't consistently tell a true rosewood from a lookalike. They can't spot sassafras sitting in a pile of domestic lumber. They can't identify what's in front of them. We show you easy ways to identify the right types of wood in this video right here. We'll see you there, brother and sister. If you're still watching and you're in central Minnesota, check out all the lumber we have in stock here. I'm not that good at this, guy.